I've had so many questions about how we prepared Vigo for life with a baby. So let's talk about how we prepared him for the birth of my son, how he was after the fact, and some hiccups that we had along the way and how we resolved it. He's now amazing with my son. Like, I couldn't have asked for it to have gone better now, but it's definitely been a journey. So when I got pregnant, I had this image in my mind that I was going to do this whole training plan with him, and I was going to buy a course and do the whole course with him on how to prepare the dog for the baby. And that kind of went out the window. The reality of life was that we had just moved house. We had a lot of stuff going on. Vigo had noise sensitivity issues, which honestly were a higher priority for me. I wanted to try and resolve those first. That said, there were two things that we did that I think were really beneficial in the run-up to the birth of my son. So the first was that we would play the sound of a baby crying just to get him used to the noise, because I knew that would be a noise that we'd be hearing a lot. So that was wonderful because we know that Vigo is a sensitive soul when it comes to sounds. And so it was nice to know that hopefully when the baby came, he wouldn't be feeling that anxiety around the sound of a crying baby. And luckily, knock on wood, it's been 3 months and we haven't had an instance where the sound has scared him or made him feel seemingly uncomfortable or anything like that. So that was a win. The second thing that we did, which is kind of funny, a lot of people laughed at me, is we bought a little doll that looks like a baby. We would take this doll and every now and then we would just kind of like carry him around the house and just practice what life would be like with a baby, but with the doll. And we would try and encourage Vigo to just be as uninterested in this doll as possible. Our goal, or like what good looked like for us, was I did not want him to be interested in the baby. I did not want him to be like trying to get close to the baby. Now, when we actually brought the baby home, what we did was my husband and I went in first to see Vigo because we'd been gone for like, I want to say 2 or 3 days. He'd been with my parents in our house while my husband and I had been in the hospital. So we went in alone first, and you could immediately tell that Vigo was smelling that I smelled different. Like, he was sniffing every part of me. I think he was smelling the milk, he was smelling everything, the hospital. And after a while of that, we then brought the baby in. And I don't know if I managed this part particularly well. I think we got there in the end. But what I was trying to do was I got a bag of treats and I would try and reward him every time he would look at me instead of looking at the baby. And that worked for a while, but he ended up becoming almost like obsessively interested in the baby. Like, he was trying to jump up to smell the baby, and he was really, really fascinated by the baby. Of course, it's like a new smell. Like, I get it. I think it's very natural, his response. But for a moment there, I was like, oh my gosh, have we just made a huge mistake by not preparing him enough for this baby? And is this now going to be our life of trying to keep him away from the baby? So that had me feeling a little bit nervous. What we ended up doing was we got our X-Pen out again, and we just set it up so that there's basically like a little hallway between our bedroom and our bathroom that looks out into the living room. So we set it up there so that he could look out into the living room, have access to the bedroom and bathroom, but he was separate from us. And basically, anytime he would get too close to the baby or he was being a little bit too rambunctious, we would put him behind the X-Pen. And I would say within 2 or 3 days, he learned, okay, when I'm too in their face and trying to get close to the baby, I lose access to the house, I lose access to them. And he very quickly learned to not to do that. And now it's been 3 months where I think we're in an amazing place with Vigo and the baby. I don't think it could be any better. I do think that I probably have a different view of what success looks like compared to other people. Like, I know, I'll make a whole other video about this, but I know like my dad, for example, loves the idea of Vigo being close to him and sniffing him and protecting him. And I don't want any of that because I don't want any resource carding. I don't want any risks. I want him to just be relaxed and chill with the baby. And that's what he has been. So that's what we did. That worked for us in the end. It wasn't perfect. It's probably not the perfect prescription for someone who's having a baby and wanting to have a dog. But I think if you are in a position where there's a lot going on and you don't have time to do like an in-depth training plan, something like this maybe might work for you. I'd also love to hear like if there's things that you've heard that I've said that you're like, oh, maybe you could have done this differently. Please drop it in the comments. I'd love for this to be like a little resource for other people who are about to have a baby, who might not have time to do like a whole course on introducing a dog to a baby. But yeah, we got there in the end. And he's doing really well with the baby. We're doing really well with him. So it's been great. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.